Project Pegaso, Episode 4, Status Report. So I had a little tap round the spokes at the back wheel to check none were wildly loose and decided it was true enough for me. I had a little experiment, just for fun, as the throttle and choke controls cease to be sticky when they're warm. So I thought, what happens if I pre-warm the carbs and then try to start the bike? Turns out what happens is the sticky throttle and the choke control become unsticked, but the carbs are still blocked. Maybe if I'd warmed it a bit more, but I was worried about melting stuff, so I gave up. Did a bit of Odu Lanagard action on the spoke retaining things and on the chain wheel. The bearing was a bit notchy. I tried forcing some grease down into it, then concluded that it was the least of my worries currently. I then set about refitting the back wheel. I put the old brake line back on, as Goodrich hoses are yet to come back to me. I've had a good look at it and it looks fine, so I'm going with that for now. I've got a new steel braided line on the front at least, so she should stop. I'm calling the rear of the bike recommissioned, apart from the chain, which I'll get to. I removed the front wheel, managed to get the tyre off, and the new to me one on, balanced it, checked it for true, or true enough, had a tap round the spokes and some Lanagard action. I then cleaned up the caliper and chucked some new pads at it. Then I did a whoopsie. I thought I'd do a torque check on the front forks, as I could see the forks had spent some time in a different position in the clamps. So they'd obviously been moved by somebody. So I checked the torque spec and I started tightening the clamps. 50 Newton meters seemed like a lot. It seemed like too much as I was tightening it. I should have known better. This is all a journey of discovery for me. I'm a bungling amateur, if you hadn't noticed. Anyway, learn by doing. It seemed too tight. I knew it was too tight, but I thought, who are you to contravene the published torque specification? I don't want the forks to be moving around in the clamps. Anyway, I continued, and the triple clamp disintegrated. I've since discovered via Google that there's a mistake in the manual, and it should say 25 Newton meters. I thought I'd ruined the bike, but then I managed to get another triple clamp for £18 on eBay, which was tidier than the one that was on it. So I spent a bit of time swapping it out and reflecting on my performance. I then refreshed the coolant. Then I decided it was time to get serious about cleaning the tank, as the cleaning the carbs game had got old already and was hardly a long-term plan for a serviceable runner. I remembered I had a cheap endoscope type camera lying around. I couldn't really see much, just peering through the fill hole with my phone torch on. So here's what I found in the tank with fuel in it. It's pretty grim. So it's a problem I can't get around by ignoring it. So I drained the tank, then had another look. That is the fuel level sensor. I found an Apple pip, and this answers on a postcard what that is. Maybe the top off some fuel additive container? I don't know. I think this shot says it all. The tank is seriously lined with gloop. Probably a bit of a tall order for one can of seafoam. But it is soft. You can see where I've wiped my finger around the fuel tap hole with a rag. I cleaned up the fuel level sensor. It doesn't work. The voltage is there on the end of the wires from the bike. I've swapped the indicator bulb with another. That works. So as far as I can tell, it's definitely the fuel level sensor that's broken. I've found a replacement, but it's 150 quid. I don't think I'm that interested. I think I'll just look in the tank, slosh it a bit, or operate a full when I left policy, and just live without it. So how do I clean this tank? I unfortunately can't get my big fat hands in it, and it's a bunker shape, obviously. So I'm going for a chemical solution based on what I've seen other people do on YouTube. The plan is distilled vinegar as a gentle acid to break down the gloop, bicarbonate of soda to neutralise it when it's done, and then a good rinse out with a hose and a few days drying in the house. So we'll see how that goes. Over and out.